Hello and welcome to Storytime Village, the show. On today's episode, we celebrate literacy at the Kansas Children's Literacy Conference and Festival, which featured former NFL and Major League Baseball player Brian Jordan. You will be inspired as he shares his personal journey to becoming one of only a few athletes to play both Major League Baseball and professional football. When everyone thought Brian was too small to play sports, he proved to them that he had what it takes to succeed, even against the big boys. Well, you'll see. Come on, let's take a look at the story.
Storytime Visit.
Hi, I'm the author of I Told You I Can Play, Brian Jordan. When Brian was a little boy, he was eager to do everything, but he especially loved to play sports. Brian loved to play basketball. He loved to play baseball, and he loved to play football. Brian's twin brother and sister were 2.5 years older than he was. Brian wanted to do everything they did. He was determined to keep up with them. But the twins didn't like a little brother following them around. They tried everything to get away from him. Sometimes the twins waited until Brian went to the bathroom, then they would sneak away and go out and play. But their mom and dad always spoiled their plan. When Brian was a little older, he wanted to play with his brother and his brother's friends. But Brian's brother thought a 6-year-old was too young to hang out with 9-year-olds. Besides, he was the only one who had to babysit his little brother. The older boys were tough. They played rough. The alley where they played football was hard as a rock. But they would crash to the hard ground, bounce back up, and keep playing. So Brian knew he had to be tough too. Brian wanted to play with them, but they wouldn't let him. "You're too little," his brother said. "But I can play," Brian insisted. One day, Brian overheard his brother talking to a friend on the telephone. They were planning to play a game. "I want to play too," Brian said. "I told you, you're too little. You'll get hurt," said his brother. Brian was so disappointed. He had to watch his brother and his brother's friends play football. They were having so much fun. Suddenly, a player's mother called. "Johnny, come home now," she demanded. Now another player was needed for Johnny. Brian jumped to his feet. "I can play. Let me play," he pleaded. Brian's brother thought for a moment. "All right, come on," he said. "Maybe Brian will learn his lesson. He'll see that he's too little to play with us," Brian's brother thought to himself. Brian was so excited. Finally, he could show everyone that he could play. At first, Brian's teammates didn't give him a chance. How could he show them he could play if they wouldn't let him run with the ball? Then, just as his brother was being tackled, he tossed the ball to Brian. Brian caught it. Brian ran with the ball. One boy tried to tackle Brian, but Brian dodged him. He dodged another boy and another. Kids standing on the sideline cheered as Brian raced up the field. "Go, Brian! Go, Brian! Go, Brian!" they yelled. Then, a much bigger player caught Brian. Thud! He threw Brian to the hard ground. Brian laid there. His eyes began to tear. "Touchdown!" someone yelled. Brian scored a touchdown. All the players gathered around the new star. Some patted him on his back. Brian had done something really special for a 6-year-old. He scored a touchdown against his brother's tough friends. That was great, a tall boy said. Brian looked at his older brother. He held the football firmly in his hands and said, I told you I can play.
Don't you feel inspired? Just like Brian, you can do anything you put your mind to. With confidence and self-assurance, you can beat the odds. What was your favorite part of the story? Write us and let us know what you thought about today's Storytime Visit book. Hi there, Rhonda. Hi, Leroy. How are you today?
Hi, Priska.
Hello there, Miss Priska.
Didn't you just love the story I Told You I Can Play by Brian Jordan?
Yes, it was awesome. It was a story I definitely could cheer about. You know why, Leroy?
I'm sure I can guess. Everything is better with the cheer.
That's right. Everything is better with the cheer.
Cheerleader, cheerleader, Rhonda the cheerleader. Cheerleader, cheerleader, Rhonda the cheerleader. R-E-A-D read, R-E-A-D read. R-E-A-D read, R-E-A-D read. Cheerleader, cheerleader, Rhonda the cheerleader. Cheerleader, cheerleader, Rhonda the cheerleader. R-H-O-N-D-A, Rhonda's gonna read today. R-H-O-N-D-A, reading is the only way. Cheerleader, woo, woo, woo. Cheerleader, woo, woo, woo. R-E-A-D read, R-E-A-D read. R-E-A-D read, R-E-A-D read.
A cheer fits this story perfectly, Rhonda.
Yes, cheers are great, but nothing makes me happier than a good yee-haw. Come on, try it with me. Yee-haw! That's it. That's how we do it out at the ranch.
It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. Gonna lasso up those letters, gonna lasso up those words. It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. Gonna lasso up those letters, gonna lasso up those words. It's Leroy, your literacy cowboy. Yeehaw!
Thank you, Leroy. Well, guys, do you know what time it is? It's time for
Word of the day.
Yes, that's right. Rhonda and Leroy, it's time to help the boys and girls out there learn a new word.
All right, let's do it.
Perfect. Rhonda and Leroy, our word of the day is special.
Special.
What does the word special mean? Do you know, Leroy?
I sure do, Miss Priska. It's something that is better, greater, or different from the usual.
You've got it, Leroy.
I'd like to think my cheers are pretty special.
They are, Rhonda. And Brian from the story, he was special too.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, in order to spell the word, we need to begin with the first letter. Leroy, can you help us with that?
Sure. The first letter in the word special is S. Let me get out my rope and lasso us up a letter S. Yeehaw!
Now that we have the first letter, Rhonda, we need one of your cheers to help us spell the word.
Okay, let's do it. S-P-E-C-I-A-L. S-P-E-C-I-A-L. What does that spell? Special. Now you try it. S-P-E-C-I-A-L. S-P-E-C-I-A-L. Yay!
Yay! I think they've got it. Thank you, Rhonda and Leroy, for helping boys and girls out there learn a new word.
Leroy, it looked like you had a super time at Student Day.
I sure did. I met lots of great students and teachers.
Well, let's check out Student Day. You might see your school in the audience.
How you guys doing today?
Basically, what we want you guys to learn is that reading is fun, right?
I was that kid in the back of the room when the teacher said, "Who wants to read?" and I would put my head down. I was scared to read. I didn't have the confidence to read. But now I write children's books. How about that? You have to believe in yourself first. Nobody else is going to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself.
Leroy, did you have fun reading to the students with the Wichita police officers?
I sure did, Rhonda. We were preparing kids for the festival and the big activities we had planned with the officers there. We had a mighty good time.
Yeah!
How you guys doing today? Yay! Well, good. Wow, there's a lot of you in here today. You guys ready to read a book? Yeah! We all like police officers, right? Yeah! Me too. And I love to read. Do you love to read? Yeah! Well, yeah! Let's read some books then.
Officer Buckle knew more safety tips than anyone else in Natville. Every time he thought of a new one, he thumbtacked it to his bulletin board. Safety tip number 77. Never stand on a swivel chair.
We want to know if the boys and girls have any questions for Officer Tapia about anything you want to ask him about being an officer.
Is it true that you have to arrest a certain amount of people each month?
No.
Not even a little bit. Is that true?
We don't want to arrest people. We like helping people, but unfortunately sometimes we do have to arrest people.
Do you use those things that you had to pay for backup?
The radio?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use it constantly. It's kind of like just having a cell phone. We talk to our dispatcher, we talk to other officers. It's the biggest way we could stay safe.
I'm reading you a book and I love this. This is awesome. So it is very much an enjoyment.
You're my buddy.
You're my friend too.
Hey, Leroy, do you have a good riddle?
Well, let me see. Here's a good one. What has hands but cannot clap?
What has hands but cannot clap? You always have hard riddles, Leroy. I don't know.
Let me see if my friends in Miss Berry's class at Jackson Elementary knows the answer.
A doll.
Sorry, that's not it.
Well, what is it?
It's a clock.
Oh! That was a good one, Leroy.
I know.
Well, I have another riddle for you.
What is it?
What is at the end of a rainbow? You don't know?
What is at the end of a rainbow?
Let's see if our friends in Miss Berry's class can figure out the answer. Yay!
A pot of gold.
Oh man, that's not right, but that's okay. You tried.
Well, what is it?
The answer is the letter W. Get it?
Yes, W. Ooh, I have a good one. A cowboy rides into town on Friday, stays 3 days, and leaves on Friday. How did he do it?
I don't know, Leroy.
Well, let's see if the kids in Miss Berry's class knows the answer.
A carriage?
No, that's not it.
Well, I'm really confused. What is it, Leroy?
His horse is named Friday. Friday is horse.
Friday. All right, last riddle for the day. What can run but cannot walk?
What can run but cannot walk?
Yep. Do you know it?
No, I don't.
All right, kids, your turn. What do you think? Water. That's right. It's water.
Yay!
Good job.
Yes. Yeehaw!
It's time for family time with Miss Jean, so grab your parents or guardians and let's talk.
Hello there. It's Miss Jean of Wichita Grill. I love talking to you about great stories and books. Learning to love to read starts at an early age, and it often starts at home. So I encourage you to make reading a habit in your home. You can read stories like today's inspiring book, I Told You I Could Play by Brian Jordan. Let's talk about it. Today, during family time, we're going to talk about self-determination. Self-determination is believing you can control your own destiny. That means you set goals for yourself and you do all that you can to reach those goals. Do you think Brian in the story had self-determination? Well, he sure did. Even though he was small, he had big goals because he was determined. He proved everyone wrong that didn't believe he could play football. Did you know that this is a true story? And Brian actually went on to become one of only a few athletes to play in both the NFL and the Major League Baseball. Do you have self-determination? What big goals and dreams do you want to accomplish? It will take some self-determination to get you there. Families, tonight during your story time, have a discussion about self-determination. Share some stories about times you've had to be self-determined. Who are some of your heroes that were self-determined? Finish your family time talk with a good book. Pick out a new book to read together tonight. You can visit our website for book picks and activities and more family time stories from me. See you soon.
Field trip.
On today's field trip, we're visiting a big celebration of literacy. It's called the Kansas Children's Literacy Conference and Festival. Let's take a look at all of the fun on the final day, where Rhonda and Leroy were featured in the parade, and Leroy is our show's festival tour guide.
Leroy, we are watching the Horseman folklorical dancers. Aren't they awesome?
Yes, they are. I'm loving it.
Take a look.
like to dance? Yes. Well, you dance really good.
It's time for little cows to go to bed. It's time for little cows to sleep so tight. It's time for us to say. What should we say?
Good night.
Leroy, I want to introduce you to a literacy champion. What's your name?
My name's Janai.
What's a literacy champion?
Well, what literacy champions do is we go and read books to kids who don't know how to read as well as us.
Awesome. And they are students at the independent school, and they help Storytime Village out and go to Title I schools to read to kids. So awesome.
Thank you for coming all the way to Kansas.
I know, it's a long way on an airplane. I have to take 2 airplanes.
You ought to try it on a horse.
Ooh, giddy up, giddy up.
Yeah, deal.
Oh, thank goodness I don't have to do that.
Tell me a little bit about your book.
Well, this book is called The Santa Thief, and it was inspired by stories that my dad told me about growing up in Pennsylvania in the 1920s.
Oh, that is awesome.
Were you born in the 1920s?
No, I was just born a few years ago.
Oh.
Well, I can tell you now, he must have been a terrific guy.
Yeah, he is. He told a lot of stories. I'm not sure they were all true, though. Shh, don't tell.
Well, every now and then, us guys, we may bend the truth just a little
Just
bit.
a little bit, just a little bit.
bit.
Yeah, but I hope you like The Santa Thief, okay?
I'm going to read it.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Hey, we're going to fly a kite. Yay! I can't wait. Oh, look at that. That is like the coolest thing ever.
Hold it.
Can I fly it?
Yeah. Hold on tight.
Oh, I got it. Oh, I'm flying a kite.
Arr.
Everybody, I'm flying a kite.
Picks.
My name is Melissa, and I'm the Children's Event Coordinator here at Watermark Books, and we have some stories to share with you for this week's Storytime Visit. First one we have is Malala's Magic Pencil by Malala Yousafzai. In this, she talks about her experience and how she wanted to have a magic pencil to make the world better, but then she realized that the way to make the world better is through education and writing about her story, and through that she was able to tell the whole world about her story and help the girls in Afghanistan and Pakistan get an education. Similarly, in this one, She Persisted by Chelsea Clinton and illustrated by Alexandra Boyger. It features 13 different American women throughout history who have made a change and a difference in their world. There are people like Harriet Tubman and Sally Ride and Sandra Sotomayor, and a little bit about their history and what they've done to make a difference in the world. This one is called How to Catch a Star by Oliver Jeffers. It's about a boy who wants to go to space and catch a star, and he tries everything that he can. He tries to build a rocket, he tries to climb a tree, and nothing works until he discovers that maybe he can catch a star on the land. It turns out to be a starfish, but he's happy with it anyway. And in this one by Caldecott, a winner, Dan Santak, called After the Fall, is about Humpty Dumpty and what happens after he falls off the wall. He's not terribly happy about getting back up on the wall. He's scared, he's sad, he misses his birds, but in the end, he conquers his fears and climbs the wall, and it's amazing what happens.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. A lifelong love of reading starts today when you open a new book or even go back to read your favorite book. Just remember, reading will help you imagine, learn, and grow. We'll see you next time on Storytime Village, the show.
Let's go to Storytime Village. Let's go to Storytime Village. Let's go to Storytime Village. Let's go to Storytime Village.
Storytime